also will face the challenges of how to handle issues coming from this side, issues coming from this side. Of course, also there's the other factor of different ages and different levels of attention.
Today we're catching up with our friends, Sam and Ebere. And we'll be chatting about how they've made a success of their blended family. Reverend Dr. Sam Nwezes is the founding pastor of the English and International Congregation of the Uniting Church of Sweden, which they call Ecumenia Shriken. Did I say it well?
Yes, you did.
Perfect. Almost.
Well done.
And of course, Madam Pastor. They oversee a vibrant ministry of young families with many children and youth. They are both authors with many books to their credit. And together, they host a musical show, the GSTN Sweden Live. We've been friends with Ebere for decades, and more recently, she brought Sam into our lives, and that's well over a decade. They're a couple we love, and we admire their family a whole lot. Welcome, both of you, to
Thank you.
Blossom Couple.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We are glad to be here.
I've just mentioned that they have a blended family, so we're going to dive right into it. How many children do you have between you?
We have 4.
Okay. Would you like to tell us a bit about maybe their age and where?
Yeah, of course. We have 2 boys. Well, I can say now 2 men.
Oh yeah.
Time goes so fast. Yeah, 2 guys and 2 ladies. The first is 27, and to the glory of God now has got a son.
Yeah,
Yes.
Congratulations. How did you make the children a part of the relationship from the start?
Okay, we were living in different countries, and when our relationship became more serious, and we knew that we, by God's grace and by God's leading, we wanted to take it to the next level, which is getting married. Of course, we thought about the children, because he had 3, and I had 1, the last one. And we knew it was important to let them into the relationship. And they needed to also meet me, and I needed to meet them. So,
And the little one, how old was she
the
then?
little one was a little over 3.
Okay.
A little over 3. And I talked to her about daddy, but of course, it wasn't something that she was very welcome about.
Let's start from the reactions or the response of the smallest one.
From the beginning. So the first time he came to visit, it was like there was loads of jealousy and possessiveness with her. And I remember a few incidents when we would sit on the dining table to eat, and she will come down and go under the table to try to find out if our legs were touching or if there was anything. And I would just see that my legs were just pulled apart completely, so that there is no touching. And we used to laugh a lot, so she was always like spying on if we are talking or something. She would want to know if we are looking at each other, and she tries to come in between all the time. So it was not funny. with her at all. She was used to having me all the time to herself, and then suddenly this daddy came and is trying to talk to her mom and trying to take away attention.
She was making her own statements.
Yes, she was.
And the older ones?
I will let him talk about them.
Yeah, the older ones. So they had no serious reservations. And of course, we visited, and to our greatest surprise, it was like they've always known, they've always seen each other. It was like this little sister here, so they gelled from the very beginning. Plus all the excitement in the United Arab Emirates took them around everywhere. They had so much fun, so that immediately created family right from the start. Yeah. So from that communication continued way after we came back to Sweden, and so the beginnings were very smooth. Yeah.
And everybody felt like we had known for so long, and that trip was we needed to have it happen, because we said we wouldn't even get engaged until that trip had happened.
Okay.
And he also did a fantastic job. He sat the bigger three down and said, "This is your sister, your youngest sister. From the beginning, she's your youngest sister, so you," and they welcomed that, and they were playing with her, carrying her about, and that one, of course, was lapping up all the attention and forgot how much she fought.
Just said that the visit produced such good results that you immediately became like one family. Did this last into the marriage?
Yes, that was the first visit.
Yeah,
actually, and they said, yes, we like her. We want to have her as our stepmom, and that, and of course, immediately the little one that was monitoring everything became so excited that from that first day she started saying, "Oh, we need to move and be together as a family. Why are we here? Why are we here?" And I used to tell her it's not as simple as that.
That's like 3-4 years old.
Yes. So why are we still here? We need to move and stay together as a family. That was her word. And then we got married later that year, that they came on the first visit.
Okay.
And I was still there the next year, and we felt it was okay to have a second visit. Yeah, so the next year they came to visit after we had got married, and I hadn't, we were not thinking of my moving, we were just looking at the logistics.
Okay.
Yet they came on a second visit, and it was also like family when they came. And during that visit, we were already talking about how it would be difficult for us to have 2 homes in different countries.
Yeah.
It was all visiting, and they're visiting. And so one person had to move. And of course, I was reluctant because I had a job and I hadn't found a new job.
How did you manage with his own, her own, when the children were still all around? I mean, we know that 3 of them are grown and gone, and the other one is almost almost gone. But when they were still with you, how did you manage that part of this one is my own, that one is your own?
That's a very good question, and I think it's a really important question, because sometimes it's not as easy as one would want it. And I know that this is an area, this is one aspect of cross-parenting, of that people go through. So thank God we managed. Was it easy? It wasn't easy. What were the factors that we struggled with? Yeah. It's that didn't start, that are coming from two parents. They would need time to understand one another, and then parents also will face the challenges of how to handle issues coming from this side, issues coming from this side. Of course, also there's the other factor of different ages and different levels of attention. How do we handle those demands coming from the one that came directly from you and the one that you now find yourself to have to become parent for?
The boys were no problems. Probably because
they were much more grown.
Much more grown and all that. But the girls were the younger ones. And the first daughter, I would use him now for purposes of for purposes of clarity, not that she's not mine.
Yeah, sure.
Then was used to getting all the attention from daddy. Daddy's girl.
You see why I was lacking words?
Was daddy's girl. And now there are these two other women.
Oh, not even one,
two other girls who are coming in, and daddy is the one giving them attention also. Okay. So I remember in those days when we moved newly, she would take his wedding ring and try to size it on her own fingers. And I used to say, what is this girl trying to do? And then she had the position of the car in the front of the car all the time.
Okay.
Before I moved. So immediately we got close to the car, she will run into the front seat and open it and sit down. But when we moved newly, I would let her sit there. I say, it doesn't matter, I'll sit there. Daddy said, no, go to the back and all that. But for maybe the first few weeks, she would run. But after some time, I think daddy began to talk to her and said, you should sit at the back. And of course, the small one also wanted the attention of daddy. So immediately, remember that she was living there, she was the one wanting to move to daddy.
Yes.
So you see that once two of them are there, she will rush to be the one to hold daddy. Oh. And the other one is like, who is this girl that is, So we had those issues.
But I said, my own.
Yeah. Mine. The little one holding the leg, and this other one is like, what are you trying to do?
Oh, poor daddy. It was a torn.
It wasn't easy.
But one thing we tried to do was that we could talk about them later. We refrained from arguing when those children were there. Oh. Or trying to show, oh, this, you should have done this, you should have done that. We try not to do that in their presence. And there was also a little personal example of maybe when we want to buy presents, it was like we would spend more money on the older ones buying presents. But it was like, but after some time, the first or second time, we didn't, we are spending so much. But after some time, we talked to ourselves, or me particularly. I said, but this is the present that is appropriate for their age. So it doesn't matter how much it would cost. Or if we want to give them a present card, this is what is appropriate to be given.
Sometimes those agreements, such understandings don't just come quick. Yeah. But they eventually come. Yeah. So I think it's
a touchy bit.
Yeah. Very touchy. Yeah. Very touchy. Very touchy. So now you can understand why I was lacking words. But then if I can talk about another dimension of who corrects who. That was one edgy part of the whole thing. Who corrects who?
That's who corrects which child?
Which child.
Okay.
You understand? When I come swinging with a correction that she may feel was too high for the little one, and vice versa, right? I may have good intentions, but when she can do the same thing even harder than I could have done it, and it will be okay.
That is true.
Has.
Okay.
All right, you could use a bigger yell on the same child,
Yeah.
knowing that I will not do anything because she's yelling at hers.
Okay.
So it can go the other way.
Yeah.
So those are very sensitive areas, and these things took a number of years for us to put them in perspective. What was the result of that? And maybe this will help someone.
Yeah.
The result of that is that sometimes you may have to just deliberately stay quiet and realize that those sensitivities are there. Problem comes when we don't realize that those sensitivities are there.
Or
And just
pretend.
Or when we don't acknowledge.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They are there.
Exactly. Then there will be problem if we don't acknowledge that they are there.
Yeah.
Let me ask, did you speak to each other about such while it was going on? Were there times when you...
I can come in here. The example he gave about
Correcting?
correcting.
Yeah.
I find myself that after some time, he will be the one to call me and say, "You are being too hard on that girl." Because he said, "Why?" He said, "That's just a small girl. Why are you doing that? Why are you?" So it gave me a kind of comfort that even if he is correcting her, he's not being high-handed, because he also criticizes my own high-handedness. Sometimes I'm the one that pulls him back from even being high-handed to his own.
Yeah.
So that way we had a kind of balancing act, and we knew that if one person is correcting it wasn't from any bad intentions or from any selfish. Sometimes I'll tell him, I say, "I think you should be the one to speak to this young man. It might be misinterpreted if I do it."
Yeah.
So we have those. So to answer your question, we have those discussions sometimes about how to carry on in the relationship, and we also try to look out in case any of the children is trying to manipulate a situation.
Exactly where I was coming to.
Yeah, because it could happen because once they notice that, daddy is always on my side, mommy is always on my side, the situations can be manipulated. And it doesn't have anything. It could be my own daughter trying to manipulate the situation, even when he is on her side.
Yeah.
You understand the point? Because these children are sensitive. They know the softer parents to go to. They know they know the person. So we try to, if I say no to something, I get to let him know that I have said no to this thing.
Yeah.
So if this child comes to you, please know that I have said no. And he would also do that. He said, if this child comes to you, know that I have said no to that. So it helped us to be able to control their thinking, we can manipulate mommy and daddy and get what we want from this person. So everybody had the same standard. We talked about them. Sometimes, was it easy? Sometimes we also find ourselves arguing about some things, but we try not to do it where they are.
Parents who are watching now, who are in a blended family situation, there's anything you haven't already said that you'd want to share with them?
I think that from the beginning, both of you should, the parents should make up their minds that we don't want these children to come between us, because it's just a matter of a few years and we are left on our own. And if you fight over the children, this is mine, that is mine, whether it's the one that is yours, in quotes, you understand what I mean by mine, they will leave and it's two of you. So you need to deepen your relationship and make them understand that your relationship with each other comes first. And there is no room at all for them to be the ones to determine how that relationship would be.
Yes.
You determine how that relationship would be, and you tell them, you also place them where you want them to be in that relationship. And the two sets of children should be able to understand that. When they understand that, they can be angry once in a while over the particular parent. Like sometimes my daughter would be angry. It's like, why wouldn't you understand this? And it's like you're siding daddy. You're taking sides with daddy. But that's how it should be.
Yeah.
And she eventually understood that. And the other children also understood that, because daddy would say, go and talk to mommy Abby. And they will come to talk to me too. So if you let these two sets of children understand that the standard is the same, it will help to reduce conflict.
Two of you should send a message that you are together on every issue.
Yes.
Whether it has to do with correction, with outreach to any of them in terms of who gets what, provisions, birthdays, and special celebrations like Christmas and everything, equity. They should understand that there's equity in the family, that there's no favoritism. I think it's very important.
Yeah.
The human mind may not know that we are thinking such, but this is natural to think that. But I think that wisdom and maturity and the grace of God also helps us to make sure that everybody gets the attention that they should get in a relationship.
It's not about how much is spent on a child. It's really about the need of that child.
Yeah, that is it.